Glad to have you back with us here on Dynamo Extra Time. Since about 2010, we've all been waiting for 2014 and the World Cup in Brazil. That World Cup is sure to affect the Dynamo later this summer. Boniek Garcia almost sure to be in Brazil with Honduras. Brad Davis and Tally Hall both in the discussion for the U.S. national team. We sat down with Tally Hall right after he got his call up to the January camp to talk about breaking in to a very talented top three of U.S. goalkeepers. I'm always interested to hear, how did you get the news? Was it email? Was it text? Was it a voicemail from Jurgen Klinsmann? How'd you find out?
This time it was standard email, I think, kind of like everyone else. Last year was a little bit special. As I was added in, I got a voicemail, just a random morning. But this year was pretty standard. You
get the call up last January. I'm sure you got some feedback then. You got the call up as well, you know, around May. For a couple friendlies and the game against Jamaica. What's the feedback that you've gotten from the national team coaching staff, and how have you applied it maybe over the last 6-8 months?
They've said you know, a couple things. The big one is distribution, and so with my feet, and so I've definitely tried to focus. You know, 2013 it was like almost a catchphrase for me, but. I think it's a balance. I think if you focus too much on one thing, then you kind of lose track of other things. And so, really coming into this year, I need to improve on everything, not just one thing. But I mean, I don't just want to be a goalkeeper in the mix. I want to be a starter. I want to be playing. Or else, if you don't have that attitude, it's kind of a waste of time, really. So with that attitude going forward, I just want to be a better goalkeeper, and you know, when you win games, the coaches like that.
You're coming off a good season, 34 starts, 9 shutouts. Where's your game now compared to prior to these national team call-ups?
I'd like to think I'm a little bit smarter. I got another season behind me. I think I've matured and come into my own. You know, I'm coming into this camp confident, comfortable. Which is, I was confident last year, but I wasn't really comfortable. I was kind of thrown into the mix. I'd never really been with a group. I'd never really been with the coaches, and now more or less I know what to expect. And I think adding comfort to confident is going to be something that hopefully I can take advantage of.
When people talk about the World Cup roster and they're already starting to make projections, they're saying Tim Howard, Brad Guzan, Nick Rimando are the top 3. When you see that list of 3, do you think you can crack it? And is this camp really the start of that process for you?
Well, I look at that 3, and I think that's a group that I could hold my own in. And you know, I've trained with those keepers, and you know, when I'm watching on TV before I was called into any camps, it was like those guys are the upper echelons of U.S. Goalkeeping. And training with them, it was kind of sometimes surprising. It's like, all right, you know, I can compete at this level. You know, obviously Tim Howard and Brad Guzan have you know, set themselves apart by having a lot of success in Europe, and Nick Rimando has done a great job of being in the U.S. and continually being good every single year. But at the same time, I feel like I can compete. I feel like you know, this is a great opportunity for me to show the coaches that, and you know, hopefully good things will happen.
You've been in camp before. You have yet to get your first cap. How much is that international playing experience worth, especially for a guy like you? You're trying to make your case.
Yeah, there's training and there's games, and though training prepares you for the games, sometimes those are two different things. Those you know, there are a lot of people who are very good in practice that when it comes game time, they're not as successful. And I've seen guys that are terrible in training. Somehow, some way, when it comes game time, they're lights out amazing. And so I think there should be a balance to the game. But at the same time, you need to be able to step on the field in a game and play well. You need to be able to perform. And so to get an international start, to get an international appearance, it's a way to prove yourself, and there's only one way to prove yourself at that level, and it's to play at the level. It's almost like a catch-22.
Certainly want to wish Tally all the best. He and Brad were both part of the 26-man group that Jurgen Klinsmann took on his January trip to Brazil. Hopefully they'll both be there in June.